Hello and good morning to our Kinaway members. Thank you for joining us for yet another one of our webinars. And good morning to the second half of our Kinaway team. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I am coming to you all from. And I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which each and every one of us are tuning in from, and pay respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Quickly, before we get this show on the road, I would like to remind you all that we have a bunch of informative webinars on our Facebook and YouTube channels, and they cover various topics. So during the lockdown, go and check those out. Jump on at any stage and make yourself familiar with that content. And along with the webinars, Kinaway are still offering the usual forms of business support for our members. So if you feel you need assistance or support of any kind, please feel free to get in contact with the team here at Kinaway. And you can see the lovely faces here this morning. Another note, please feel free to share our posts and our profiles with your friends and family, as we are looking to grow the Kinaway community even more than we already have. So now that I have that out of the way, let's give a warm welcome to our black and deadly guest today, the Kinaway team. Woo! So we're going to go around the room. Who are you and who your mob? Let's start with Jadara.
Thanks, Katani. My name is Jadara Jones. I'm the certification and audit manager here at Kinaway. My mob on my dad's side is Gidja up in the Kimberleys, Halls Creek way, and my mum's side is Polowa, which is on the northeast coast of Tasmania. So two pretty far countries there.
James, you're up next, my brother.
Wonderful. My name is James Brown. I'm an economic broker here at Kinaway. I'm a proud Gamilaroi man. Got family back in Narrabri, Coloranabri, and I grew up on Bunjalung country. And I just want to add quickly, Katani, you're a much better host than what I was at these Kinaway TV. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Nah, not even. So Brendan, you're up next on my queue of people.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm the wellbeing clinician based purely with Kinaway, available to all Kinaway members, which is free, completely private and confidential. Anyone needs to have a chat. We're going through some stress and anxiety at the moment, so my service is available to all of you. 1-800 Kinaway. Did we just flash that number? Good. Okay. And I'm a white fella.
You're our white fella. You're our white fella, right?
I am. Although I feel like I've been adopted in some small way, but yes, I am.
100%. Now we have the beautiful Liz up next.
Hi everyone. I'm Liz Little. I'm an Aranda and Aliara woman, and living and working on Jara country, and I'm the manager of economic development.
And last but certainly not least, Jessie.
Thanks, Katani. Hi, everyone. I am Jessie. I am a Ghana Ngarrindjeri woman from the Adelaide Plains area. Hi, Scott. And I'm the General Manager of Operations here at Kinaway.
Yay! So this is our second half of the crew. You guys may see some new faces in the coming weeks, but it's probably best you get to know and love everybody's faces that you've already been in contact with for quite some time. So thank you all for introducing yourselves. Now we're going to get on with the show. So as you all know, we are in our 5th lockdown. And last webinar, I said that people are affectionately calling it lockdown 5.0, but I don't know how affectionate you can be when we've been in about 10,000 lockdowns, I think. I don't know if it's 5.0, but we are well and truly used to the procedure of what a lockdown means. So I wanted to ask all of you guys today, similarly to what I asked Scott, Damien, and Kayla this Tuesday that's just been. What are some of the challenges that you guys personally face when you're presented with a lockdown. And that can be this one. Maybe it was the first lockdown because it was brand new to all of us. At some stage in that experience, what were some of those challenges that you faced, and how did you guys go about combating that? We'll go around the room. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first then. I think the main one, especially over all the lockdowns, is just not being able to see family and friends as often as you'd like. Definitely the toughest part, but it's kind of come with the rise of all these, FaceTimes and Zoom and whatnot, which has been a help, being able to have that weekly sort of Zoom catch up with your family, and have that face to face, even though it is, I suppose, digital, it's still better than nothing. I think the other hard part for me was just the creeping back of sort of bad habits. When you're not out doing things and living your normal life, it's easy to stop exercising and, start eating a bit more junk food and start not drinking as much water and all that sort of stuff, and staying up later and not sleeping as much. So the creeping up of those bad habits was probably something I noticed and something I really had to pay attention to make sure it didn't, completely throw me off the rails.
Yeah.
Jadara, it sounds like you and I might be the same human being. Yeah,
I've been told that before. I think you tell me that quite often.
I say often, community, you guys don't understand. We are the same. And I didn't mention that in our last webinar, but I wish Jadara gave me his cliff notes beforehand, because that I relate to 100%. What about you, James?
Yeah, I think for me, probably the most difficult thing throughout these lockdowns is just the unknown. I know you said before that it is 5.0 this time is what people is referring it to. So, I thought the previous one, hopefully that would be, the final sort of lockdown that we would go through. But here we are again. So, I think that's probably the most difficult thing, is obviously you just don't know if another one's around the corner. And then, once we're in it, we just don't know how long they actually last for. So there's been a few now, and how I kind of deal with it is, I guess I just try and see the positives, So I am, spending more time at home with the family, and, I've got a beautiful partner, a beautiful daughter. And I think since the last time I've been on a webinar, I've welcomed a beautiful little boy into the world now as well. So, I've got to spend some more time with my, with my little ones and my partner. And I think which also sort of makes it easy too is actually, spending time with, it's almost feels like another family here at Kinaway. It doesn't even feel like we're at work half the time, coming in here. So I think that sort of makes it easy for me as well. And, even that sort of extended family, our members too, just having a yarn with our members as well. I think that makes it easy for me too, just having those conversations with the Kinaway staff, and, also that Kinaway membership base too has made things more manageable for myself. And also, putting up with Scott as well, which makes things a bit difficult, but, I managed to get through it.
Yes, that last point, particularly. I don't know if the Kinaway community know this story. The other day before lockdown happened, Scott decided to decorate my desk. He decided to decorate my desk with purely pictures of himself, typically in a sports pose. I think he's pretty proud of those. But yes, no, Scott's awesome. Who would like to go next? Brendan?
I'm like the boys. Family and friends have been missed. But a big part of my routine on weekends is to go and watch local footy, a team that I used to play for in my area, and I used to love and go and watch them play and reconnect with some old friends that used to go down there and just enjoy my Saturday afternoon. And also, because I love my sport, I'm also quite keen on going to watch some of my friends play. I've got a friend who's got a couple of young blokes who play quite high-grade junior footy, and I like to go and watch that as well. So, really missed out on that. And as a compensation, and I can't believe I'm saying this, because when you're a wellbeing clinician, one thing you should probably try and say to people is not to gamble. But I have found my footy club started an online competition. It only costs $10, but you tip a horse in each race on a Saturday. and the winner, and it's all a points accumulated thing, and the winner walks away with a bit of money. I haven't won it yet, and I really don't care, but it's been a really good way to pass my Saturdays while I'm missing on going out and seeing friends or watching mates play footy. Is just watch a bit of the races, and that helps, really does help me with spending my Saturdays, which is where I've been really struggling.
100%. Yeah, Saturdays, I don't know. I don't even remember my weekends these days. They just go, it just goes so quickly because I'm typically sleeping or playing video games, which is probably my equivalent. I know Jadara up there can relate. Liz, can you relate to video game playing, or do you have something else?
Not really. Although I did buy a PlayStation recently because of lockdown. I didn't have one for 20 years, so I've been sort of trying to, learn it again, because I had one in, say, maybe 1995, and my puppy at the time peed on it and broke it, and so I didn't buy another one for a long time. And I tried to, use a hairdryer to dry it out, and it just didn't work. So, so Netflix is my, preferred option. But, having said that, I loved the first lockdown. I love lockdown. I might be completely different to everybody else on the planet, but it saved me from commuting, hours and hours and spending 12 days, 12 hours out of the house. So it's been such a blessing to be able to work from home. I have little distraction at home, so it's much easier for me to sort of get the head down and get into stuff. But the most recent ones have been a bit harder because of the lack of notice. I think in the first one, we sort of staged the restrictions, and so you knew it was coming. But like the last one, I mean, I got home from a trip about 4:30, and I didn't even know we were going into lockdown because I hadn't been looking at the news or anything like that. So it was a bit of a shock. Yeah.
Yes. Oh man, I'm a homebody too, Liz. And I said that I think in Tuesday's webinar too. The more recent lockdowns are harder because I was real excited to just stay home and relax. But yeah, it's just getting a little bit harder and harder each time. So I relate to that.
And also on Jadara's point, the exercises, because in winter it's just so hard to convince yourself to get out, and so my step count is very low. Yeah.
I think my step count's at like 5 steps.
That's right.
Maybe 10 because then I go back to the couch.
I did really well in the first, but not these ones.
No.
Not these ones.
Too.
You should definitely elaborate on that, Jessie.
Yeah, of course. So, talking about challenges and distractions, Liz, from you saying you didn't have very much distractions. I have 2 very little people. I have a 2.5-year-old and a now 5-year-old. So they were huge distractions in the first big lockdown. And that was quite a challenge trying to work from home. Both my partner and I are both working full time. So working full time with 2 little people that weren't allowed to go to kinder or childcare or really only had an hour out, that was a really big challenge for us trying to juggle that. And one way we did do that is making sure that we did get out the house and go for a really nice walk. It was really good to see that there were some constructions going on. So the boys really enjoyed watching the workers or watching the development of the houses during lockdown. And, just trying to enjoy that time and be in that moment with the boys. Even though there was no playgrounds or anything, we really started to enjoy going for a scoot or a bike ride, and that was really good, and just breaking up our day as well, you know, making sure that my partner and I, we really divided our time to conquer, really. You know, someone was always with the boys, and then someone was always able to work and then would swap over. So that was really helpful for us. That's how we worked with it. But these two last ones have been pretty difficult for same reasons, you know. We weren't out, I'm not able to get out and walk as much. It's been really cold. Boys are a little bit older now, so they're a little bit more unsettled and more understanding of what's going on. So it's trying to really help them with their expectations of what a lockdown means and where we're allowed to go and what we're allowed to do. So yeah, it's just been a lot of, you know, juggling and trying to make sure our lives are as happy as can be in the situations. And one thing I really struggled with was me time. You know, really didn't get a lot of me time doing those sorts of things and juggling that kind of aspect. So it was great to get on and have group friend chats. You know, we would get on and video each other in a group setting and just have a really good chat and discussion. And that was really helpful. It was great.
Yeah, so it's something I don't, just personally, doesn't cross my mind because I don't have a small family. And it's like almost mind-boggling to step into your shoes or James's shoes where you've got young kids and like it's just 24/7. Like, I mean, it always is that because it's your family, but I guess they'd go off to daycare or things like that. So yeah, it's always eye-opening to hear that perspective. Yeah, I can't even go there mentally because it's like, damn, it just takes a lot of strength. Hey, so props to you guys.
Just quickly, Katani, can I ask? I'm not too sure if you asked or if anyone's asked you so far, but how have you found, lockdown 5.0 and what have you been doing to get through it?
I mean, I guess I'm lucky because I've got my best friend, my boyfriend, and my cousin under the same roof. So I am lucky to have some family and obviously my friend with me. But having said that, my parents and everybody, they're all up in Darwin. So I haven't been back to Darwin in over probably a year and a half now. And that I think is the longest time since I've been back home or just in bush. And I miss bush, man, like going out and just doing things like that. So yeah, but I agree with you guys where the latest lockdowns have been way harder than that first one. Because the first one felt like a fun at-home vacation. But now it's just, it's just constantly hitting us. And Melbourne as a city has done so well. And I always say that the minute I go to complain, I'm like, no matter who I'm talking to, I'm like, but all of Melbourne have done such a good job at trying, for everyone else. So, and especially now that vaccines are around, I love seeing that everyone's trying to pitch in for everybody else. But we've got, and my next question is also a little bit along the challenges line. And it does sound a little bit dreary, but I think it's good to address some of those challenges and feelings that every single person would be going through. So anxiety is the name of this question. So anxiety is especially felt by everybody during these times, and it's a feeling that takes work and self-care to manage. And I'm saying that from my personal experience. Kayla on Tuesday, she has a very personal experience with that too. So I was just wondering if you guys are comfortable to share, how have you, similarly to the question I just asked, but specifically with anxieties around lockdown, how do you guys go about remedying that for yourself, if you're comfortable to share? So whoever would like to share, let me know. Brendan, maybe? Oh, go, Jessie, go.
So, yeah, I think one of the best things to do is actually allow yourself to feel those emotions first. I know, especially after this lockdown on Thursday, on the drive home, I was going through all the emotions. I was just letting it out and letting myself be, amongst my own emotions and realizing that, there was a lot of frustration. There was a bit of sadness because, my 5-year-old had his birthday party that had to be cancelled. So, just the frustration and around that, and having to let him down in that way. So, just really going through those emotions and talking to someone is what I did. That's what really helped me. I had a really good chat. I called my mum on the way home and went through the emotions and just really spoke to it all with my mum. So that really helped me.
Yeah. No, it's good to do that. We're all human beings. I mean, that's something we all have to allow ourselves to do to stay sane.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm probably not Kinaway's mental health clinician. Perhaps there's somebody in this group of people that is. Maybe somebody. What's your advice, Brendan, for people, maybe if they're watching? We went over last webinar one of the techniques that you shared with me on one of our past webinars about anxiety and managing it. I think that's the best word for people to realize that it probably doesn't always go away completely. It's just about managing it in the best way that you can. And I'm sure we'll bring up a lot of different techniques, but do you have one that you might be able to share, Brendan? And we'll keep going around.
Anxiety is a strange animal because it affects us all differently. And there are all these different symptoms, and we're all different when it comes to anxiety and what it looks like. So finding strategies to deal with our anxiety, strategies help, but not every strategy works for everybody. When we're talking about anxiety, a lot of our thoughts can be about projecting negative outcomes, or they could be reliving past or negative experiences or what's happened in the past. And what we fail to do is stay in the present. So the trick is the 5 things for me. The 5 things work for me, which is right now, what are 5 things I can see? What are 5 things I can touch? What are 5 things I can smell? What are 5 things I can hear? And if I go through that exercise, it brings me back to the present. It just relaxes me a little bit more, because when those thoughts about projecting forward about negative outcomes, you're actually thinking about something that may never happen, and it takes you away from the present. So that's one trick that I use. It may not be for everyone, but there are so many different strategies for different kinds of anxieties. We could go on for days about anxiety and strategies, but that's just one quick one that I use. And the other thing that I've been doing, you guys were talking the other day about being grateful that you had technology, that you could go on the internet, or you could go and watch a show and all that. But I can remember the days, and it wasn't that long ago, where all we had was a landline. And when the landline was being used,
Brendan, can I just ask, what's a landline?
Yeah, exactly. And when someone was on it, if your sister was on it, that was it. No one else could use it.
And you weren't allowed to use it in a thunderstorm either.
Yeah.
When you're stuck inside and you parents
and it made me think, how was another way that we were able to stay connected with people who weren't within walking distance of the house? And we used to write each other letters. So after your webinar on Tuesday, because I've got a daughter in Perth, I went and wrote her a 5-page letter.
Wow.
And stuck it in the
Did you have
snail
a homing
mail.
pigeon, Brendan?
No, I went to the post office, I bought a stamp, and I posted her a letter. And I felt really good because I actually took the time. Sometimes when you talk to someone from a longer distance, you feel like you haven't got enough time, and you sort of rush through the conversation and all that sort of thing. This, I just took my time. I walked away, came back to it, walked away, came back to it, and ended up with this 5-page letter that I've just stuck in the snail mail. And it made me feel good.
Yes, maybe we could do that as a Kinaway team. But I did. I did having Scott just so I can silly pictures and annoying him. That'd be the best. So I kind of mentioned it in our last webinar, but and I'm sure we'll get the kind of questions sort of kind of melding in because we did cover them in the last time, but it was all really good points of discussion. And yeah, so I don't know, one thing I mentioned there, and I'll mention it again now, but because I have a constant battle with anxiety, I just know it so well. And one of the things that I will do is be creative in some way. And I said last time, even if it is your job, that I think being creative in some way, whether it's writing a letter or however it is that you express yourself, is another really good way too. You know, because you can get lost in that and then it takes your mind to another place, a creative place. And it can just inject really, really good feelings out. And I'm sure every single person's got some type of creative way to express themselves. So that's Kitani's little tidbit. What about you, Dara? Oh, wait, no, Liz. You go, Liz.
No, I was just about to say, you know, we use in lockdown social media to connect, but sometimes it does cause anxiety as well. And I find, you know, that creative stuff is really good, but also my sort of tip and what I do is have baths, because I find that relaxation just helps you to, you know, and whether it's meditation or also having a nap, it just helps you sort of reset, I think. And but I find that, you know, putting down all your devices and doing something with your hands is a really good, you know, option too.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about staying present, I think, because especially in lockdown, I mean, we're all probably just putting our heads down and being like, oh, come on, lockdown, be over with. But maybe taking those times where we're told to stay, you know, in some sort of a solitude, or maybe that could be a good chance to, you know, focus on the positive parts of the present, because a lot of our lives is so fast paced. And we probably, I know I don't do that very often unless I you know, sit there and I make myself, you know, whether it's going outside and listening to the birds or doing something like that. It's something we should all probably do even after lockdown. But yeah, Jadara or James, does anyone up there want to chime in?
I just call my mum if I'm concerned about anything, to be honest. Just call, have a yarn with her. I'll have a rant. She'll have a rant about what's going on in her life, and then we'll both laugh and feel better. So that's pretty much what I do, because I know she's got a lot on her plate as well at work and stuff like that. So if I'm ever feeling a bit anxious, we just call each other and let it all out, and then laugh and have a chat about what's going on and what's good, and then we both feel better after that.
Yeah, so good.
Nice.
Yeah. Is your mum in a different state, or is she in Vic?
Yeah, mum's in Tassie, in Launceston, so I've only got to see her maybe once since lockdown, so yeah, it's been a bit hard, but
it's good you're keeping the connection alive, as well as, you know, you're being mental health buddies. That's what my mum and I call each other. And you know, it's good. She works in government, so I'm not going to say what state. I'm not going to rat anyone out, but let's just say she has a lot on her plate sometimes. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, my relationship with anxiety, to be honest, I first experienced it actually a few years ago now. I was actually living overseas at the time, and I was feeling a certain way for a few weeks actually. I couldn't understand it when I was at the time. It was more just, I think, just from the unknown, and I think it's probably a little bit similar now with these lockdowns. But I just remember I had this sort of emotion. I didn't understand it. I was actually working overseas, and it got to a point where I literally just packed up my life and I moved back home. And it took me about a year or two to actually understand it and realize, you know, it is stemming from this anxiety. And then once I got to realize that, I began to start to understand it. And I think I do get certain bouts of anxiety now. But what I do to sort of combat it again is, I think it is coming from these the unknown, you know, with these lockdowns. And what I sort of do is I like to remove myself from technology, get off my phone. So I think Jesse actually sent me a text message over the weekend, and I didn't get back till Monday morning. Didn't write back till Monday morning, which I had to apologise for. But yeah, you know, just what I do now is I kind of just take comfort in just knowing that, you know, it'll all be all right. Don't know when, but it will. You know, it'll all work out. And until then, I just spend time again with my friends and my family. And you know, I think Brennan was talking about, you know, just the 5 things you can see and you can sort of feel and you can smell. And one thing that I do is I like to go for a run. And it's not because I focus on 5 things. I just focus on one thing, and that is how hard it is. And well, I just can't wait for it to be over. I don't think about anything else. I leave the phone at home, I leave the headphones at home, you know, just take my watch, my joggers, and I'm out the door. And yeah, I think that's the beauty of that for me, is that I don't think about anything else. I just think about how much I hate the position I'm in right now, running. So that's what I do to combat.
Yeah. Sorry, you go,
Jack.
I was just about to say, so that's the secret to exercise. You guys secretly hate it. So no one actually enjoys exercise.
I don't mean everybody. I think a lot of people do.
I was always, you know, seeing people jogging around and they just look absolutely, you know, tired as, and I'm like, how do you do that? If I run a short distance, it turns into a wheezy shuffle, and that's about as best as I can do. Well, yeah, thank you guys for sharing, because sometimes talking about that stuff, it's a little bit of a confronting question. It's good, though, that we sort of bring it out into the open and share, because, you know, some people who are watching, some of the Kinaway community might find value in that. They might relate to some of us. I don't know how many people can relate to being such an athlete, James. I know I can't, but someone might. So I'm going to ask, it's a little bit of a pivot question, you guys, but we will come back to just, you know, we've got the challenges through lockdown, but soon we'll be focusing on the positives. But one thing that I thought would be really helpful for our members specifically, something that I personally can't really, not relate to, but I can't give really good advice, is about being a business owner during a lockdown. So that's why I want to ask you guys, people who are in the industry and will have some really awesome things to let the community know. When you are unable to work from home, or something is stopping you from working lockdown, what's a way that some of our members can stay productive or feeling productive in a time that makes you feel like you can't be, if that makes sense? Maybe Liz. I reckon, Liz, you've got some gold nuggets that you might be able to share with us.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it depends what business you operate, and whether, you know, you're operating from home or from a different premises, and whether you can actually work. Obviously, you know, people like catering companies and cafes, you know, you have to feel immensely for those people who, you know, really have to pivot, and a lot of people have, you know, but definitely some have decided, I think particularly in regional areas, that it's just not worth it. It's probably far more costly to actually operate than to, but in cities, it's, you know, takeaway and those sorts of things, there are still enough people to come out and support you. The challenge, I think, is, certainly in my experience, has been, we've had to pivot to more online focus, and not everyone has the capability to, you know, get online and do the work they need to do and promote themselves in, you know, social media and all of that sort of stuff. It's a challenge to, you know, do all that sort of learning and fast tracked, because it's not easy, and it takes a lot of mental energy to, you know, to get on and learn Instagram. I mean, it drives me mental, but you know, because I'm not, you know, in the native, you know, age bracket. You know, I'm probably more of a Facebook person, but yeah, it's sort of, that's the hard thing. And people have, you know, some people have been really good. The people who were good at it at the start have made the best of lockdown, and some people have just done amazing, with social media, and because everybody's working from home, there's a lot more connection and collaboration too from unexpected people, and so there's been some really great opportunities, but it's hard to, if you haven't been doing that, it's hard.
Just on that, Katani,
yeah, go on, James.
Just quickly, just on that, I just like to add, from my sort of experience, talking to our members, throughout these lockdowns, a lot of our businesses have had to pivot, and one thing that I've kind of been telling our members is, you can't work in the business right now, but you can work on the business. That's something that just naturally the vast majority of our members are already doing. It just shows how resilient we are in our membership base. Is that sort of have that conversation to maybe just to get them to work on it, but 99.9% of the time everyone's already doing that anyway. So in these sort of down times, it might be a good opportunity to maybe just refine your sort of your business plan or strategy or your marketing, and looking at pivoting to going online, but you can look at your supply chains and things like that too. And that's something that I've found to be quite striking, is just that pretty much all our members are doing that anyway. Have really shown resilience throughout these multiple lockdowns.
Yeah, it's like changing that perspective. Yeah, instead of the thought of working, or like you think it's like this active, you're like actually walking around working, but instead it's more of a mental thing. Like you're preparing and you're working on your business. And I think just hearing you. Also, you go, Liz.
I was thinking, yeah, just on James' point. There's been time to plan for the future, and some people have come up with new businesses during lockdown, which you wouldn't think that would be a wise thing, but it actually is. It's given them time to have a little bit of vision and say, well, how can I operate a business in a COVID world, but also what new businesses can I do to take advantage of this world.
Yeah, and listening to you guys, I realize it's probably good to clarify, because the reason why I put a question in about productivity is just because I know it's not that people should be, you don't need to be sitting and stressing. I know that obviously that happens, but I just was thinking about, when you have a passion or a dream or anything like that, you just find yourself doing that anyway. Your thoughts are there, or your energy is there. And so I thought, well, maybe that's like a productive, in that way, productive word of the day thing to do. Use that energy for something positive and good, make you feel stronger. But yeah, Brendan, I think you were wanting to say something as well.
No, James stole my thunder. He said exactly what I was going to say.
But
we're resilient by nature, small business owners. We are. We can dig deep and we can find that resilience and get through. But the question about, if we're at home and we're finding ourselves being frustrated by not being able to work from home, then what's plan B? What else can we do? And self-improvement's a big one. There are online courses everywhere. We can change tack, we can divert, pivot, and try something different. So basically exactly what James said. Thanks, James.
You're welcome.
Too good. Do you guys, Jadar and Jesse, have anything that you would like to add? You don't have to. I was just checking.
I don't think so. I think it was really covered off well by our economic development team.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Go on, you guys. So good.
Saved you all.
Yeah, just flew in there with the expertise. I told you Liz had gold nuggets in there. I knew it. And James too. So having said, we've covered some of the challenges that come up and that are super universal for all of us. But I would like to focus on some positive things. So despite the things that we don't have or don't have access to, or even can't take into your own hands, what are 5 things, and we'll go around the room, that you feel grateful for? And we covered this in the last webinar. It doesn't have to be 5 things, but it's just good to explore that, because I reminded myself on Tuesday of some things that I hadn't thought about. So we'll go around the room and just think about some things that we're grateful for. I'm going to start with you, Jessie. You thought you could hide. I'm going to start with you.
That's all right. 5 things. I think number 1 for me is my tight family unit that I have at home. You know, I don't think everyone has the same environment, and I know everybody's different, but I have such a supportive partner, and my kids are just amazing, and they keep us on our toes all the time. But, you know, we're being away from family most of the time. I only have one sister here in Melbourne. We've grown really strong together. So, you know, we're such a team, and I'm so grateful for that, and my partner, who's such an amazing dad. I'm also grateful for the amazing coffee shop that's only about 5-minute walk from my house. It's an awesome cafe too. So if we need any food or coffee, you know, supporting local. Another thing I'm grateful for is, I think, you know, like Damien touched on it a little bit, but nature in general. So being able to get out, step out, and not think about anything else and really enjoy nature, you know, the fresh air, the everything that's around that you get to look at, the bees. My boys, I think that's something that I've really learned to be grateful for, is to stop and watch nature again, you know, watching the bees collecting pollen and identifying all sorts of little critters and creatures, and just sitting there and watching them, as slow as snails may be. It's so fun to sit there and, you know, watch the boys get on the ground and really interact and be really intrigued about how different animals work, and, you know, also machinery. So I'm super grateful for that and being grounded again in that way. So that's me.
Oh, so good. I do the same thing actually. In my backyard there are some birds, and there's a little gang of them.
Yeah.
And they get into arguments and there's drama, and I'm out there, I'm like, who said what? I need to catch up, you guys. I know Alana in the office, she was scared to jump on the webinar on Tuesday, guys. So I will get her in a webinar, Kinaway community. But she and I both have in common that we love birds. And that's one thing I always watch, is just them getting up to what birds get up to. They're drama queens, you guys. That's my name. What about you, Liz? What are some things? You live out in beautiful nature. I'm sure you've seen some drama.
Oh, yeah, we get birds all the time. I have very demanding birds. We have like a family, and there's a whole pecking order of different birds. And so the magpies are our family, and they, you know, if you didn't know, magpies love cheese. They go mental for cheese. So, you know, they wait at the door for cheese, and then the cockatoos come up, and it feels like we're a goldfish bowl, because they sit at the window and they will sit there for an hour waiting for us to give them seed. And, you know, and they just all carry on. But the rainbow lorikeets rule the roost. They'll come in because they're so colourful and bossy, and they kick all of the other birds, even the cockatoos, out. So, yeah, well, I mean, we're pretty grateful for birds and where we live. I mean, I find it hard to talk about being grateful for, you know, different things, because I get joy in very little things, you know, and like I'm sort of, you know, grateful for mushrooms growing in a log or something like that, you know, just those little wonders. I really, you know, I just really enjoy those. So when I find it hard to talk about big things, but I'm sort of grateful for what lockdown has brought, because, you know, I didn't get much time at home or with my partner, and that's been amazing. And the other thing that I am really grateful for is having a great workplace and a great team to work with, because we underestimate, or maybe we don't, but how many hours we work with other people. It's almost our entire week, and having a team where, a workplace where you don't connect with people, or there are issues, I think, it would be terrible in lockdown to know that you've got to try and connect with people, because it makes it so much harder than being in person. So that's a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
It's good to be grateful for the little things, Liz. I think that's actually, we always talk about the big things. So I love taking a moment to stop and actually talk about those little things. Like the mushrooms growing on the log. That's exactly me too. I love walking around and taking in just everything. I don't know if it's like because I like video making and picture taking, but it's like my eyes are being the camera sometimes, and I just like to go and find those little things to focus on. So I think I don't think you have it hard describing things you're grateful for, Liz. I think you're on the money with it.
I think it's the opportunity to reconnect, isn't it? Like, no matter what it is, whether it's with country, whether it's with the nature, it's with your family and friends, it's that reconnection. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And that, it's just another example of being present as well. Taking in the world is buzzing around, doing its thing, continuing on through lockdown. So it's always nice to just step outside of yourself and see that happening. And especially when you live in the beautiful bush and country, so good. What about you, Brendan? You're looking quiet down there.
I'm the little things grateful person. I've had to, since the lockdown, we look at what we're grateful for. I've also had a pretty tough year personally as well with family. So grateful for the little things. I've been big on that, and it really has helped me. Little things like having a roof over our head. There's a lot of people still just living outside.
Absolutely.
We've got our jobs. A lot of people don't have that. So I'm grateful for that. I've got food in the fridge. Real simple little things that a lot of people just don't have. And then one of the big ones is something that will tick just about everybody's box, is having really strong support at home. I've got a wonderful, very good-looking and supportive girlfriend. So that's been terrific. And the other thing is I'm really big on I'm a big TV watcher. So I'm so grateful for Netflix, Stan, and Binge. I can just keep myself amused in front of the TV a lot of the time as well. So very grateful for that. And in fact, I don't know where I'd be without the TV.
Same, Brendan. And don't list any TV shows just yet, because there's a question coming up about that. Right. You can't beat me to it.
Okay.
What about you, Jadara? You've been quiet for a long time.
That's because all my answers come with a lot, so I have to just take some time in between. No, 5 things I'm grateful for, I think mainly is just a good support system. Without it, things would be a lot harder, and it just makes it a lot easier knowing you got people who've got your back and are always there to take your call or whatnot. Second, I think lockdown has made me sort of get out and about a bit more. I've started recently doing hiking on weekends, which is something I've never really done before. And so I've been trying to take sort of, 3 to 5 hours on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon and just drive somewhere out in the country and go for a hike. It's actually really nice. Like, I'm not much of a outdoorsy person, being honest, but just walking by creeks and hearing that, fresh water run and hearing all the animals and the critters and that, it actually is pretty refreshing, and it does rejuvenate your spirit a bit, I'd say. Another thing I'd be grateful for is just, I suppose it's similar to what Brendan Katani said, but things like TV or just entertainment in general. I think throughout lockdown, having to spend so much time inside, if we didn't have those little distractions or a TV show we can just watch when we have nothing to do, it would get very boring very quickly. So just having, access to those things, they're not everyone does. Not everyone can afford to, pay that $20 for a Netflix or, have all that sort of stuff. So being grateful for things like that can take your mind off it when you need it to. And also, obviously, just a good job. Like so many people have been impacted and lost their jobs over lockdown, and especially small business owners, having to close down their shops or not having customers come through, and that it would be a terrible thing to have to go through. So, just having ongoing employment, and obviously with a team that we all get along and enjoy each other's company makes it a lot easier.
100%. And something you just made me kind of think about was the thing with TV shows is like that it's not just because I know sometimes like my stepdad, he might be like, oh, that's just whatever. Some people don't see the beauty in TV and movies, but when you really break it down, it's somebody's art and it's just moving art, and you're watching it, and you're everybody involved, that's their expression. And I think that's another reason why it's kind of a special thing to be able to enjoy. And oh God, I had another awesome point, but it's just flown out of my mind. Maybe James will have it. James, what do you think?
So some things that I'm grateful for. Yeah, I think the majority has been covered by everybody else here. To have a beautiful supportive partner at home. I'm grateful for to have two healthy children that I get to come home to every day. That's something that I'll forever be appreciative of. The old fella back up at home on the Tweed. I love having a conversation with him whenever I can. My younger sister back up that way as well. So just have a beautiful, healthy family. I'm really grateful for. I think, like Brendan mentioned, just have a roof over the head. Hot running water, put food on the table. I'm grateful for that, because not everyone is afforded that luxury. I think Liz touched on, just working here at Kinaway, obviously working with a deadly bunch of colleagues here. And, I think just having the opportunity to create, real, genuine change within our community as well. That's something that I'm truly grateful for. I love working here. I love coming in every day to the office, even though I don't have to. So I still can. So I'm really appreciate that. And two other things. For those that know me, and I had to fit it in here somewhere, I'm grateful that I get to go fishing when I can. I think Jadara touched on it before. I think it's just the novelty of having the opportunity just to get out, and it's almost like a mini walkabout. It's not the actual act of catching the fish. It's getting out, getting into nature, hearing the water running, water crashing against the rocks, seeing the crabs run past, smelling that salty air, and whatever it is. I really appreciate that I can do that, and I'm grateful for that. And also Jesse will be grateful for this one as well, as the Wiggles. When things are getting too much at home, and I'm stuck there looking after the newborn, and the 2-year-old wants attention as well, I'll just chuck on the Wiggles. And in particular, I just want to give a shout out to Emma Wiggle as well.
Shout out Emma Wiggle. Yellow Wiggle's always the best. When I was growing up, was it Greg? Jadara, you would have been about my age. Was it Greg?
Yeah, Greg the Yellow Wiggle.
The OJ Wiggles, they're still around actually. They make the odd appearance. If you go on the Wiggles YouTube, they all make the odd appearance, which is nice. Yeah.
They're often in the show too, aren't they, James?
What's that, sorry?
They come into the show too. I don't know if you've seen, like, Jeff comes in and does the cooking. Like he comes in as the chef, and they actually do come in and appear in the show too.
Yeah. They're great. So.
Yes, my favorite. Yeah, Yellow Wiggle, Greg, and what was it? Wake Up Jeff, the purple Wiggle.
Yeah, Anthony's the Jeff. It used to be Jeff, but it's Lockie now.
Oh, Lockie.
Yeah, so that's purple Wiggle, and then you got Simon. Simon is a red Wiggle.
Yeah.
Lockie better be doing Jeff justice. Wait, Jeff? Wake up, Jeff.
Yeah. There's a song now. the song now, "Wake Up Lockie." It's actually pretty good. I'll play it later.
Yeah, I may or may not have been in the office when you
Wake
guys are
Up
pumping
Lockie.
this tune.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
No.
Nah.
It's actually better. It's better. I'm gonna throw it out there. It's actually better.
Righto. Okay.
Do your little ones like both you and Jesse? Do your guys' little ones love Captain Feathersword and that Kadri, the dinosaur? I can't remember her name.
Dorothy.
Dorothy.
Captain Feathersword. Shirley Shawn
Dorothy.
Drew, another one. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Wags the dog.
Yeah, Wags. I had a teddy bear.
Henry
fight.
the octopus.
Henry the Octopus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Sorry, Kinaway community. I needed to elaborate on that.
Yeah, we got a little bit.
My boys do like that, but they also love dinosaurs. So my boys are heavily into dinosaurs and trains and excavators, and just really love all of those. So
Yeah, so they're like Bob the Builder. So I won't take us down a rabbit hole of like shows I remember. I know Liz is dying to hear me recount all of the shows. But this is a good segue, believe it or not, Kinaway community. Great segue into my last question. So we're going to go around the room. This is my favorite question. But what is a song, movie, and or TV show that is currently helping you through lockdown? Or it could be a book as well. I know Kayla had a book. So what piece of escapism art are you enjoying? Song, TV show, movie, or book? We are going to start with Brendan.
Oh, okay. Mr. In
Forms like
Between
Brendan.
is a TV show.
Ooh, I had heard of that one.
It's an Aussie show. And I think the reference to being in between is that he's bad, but he's good. But it's fantastic. I thoroughly enjoy it. Mr. In Between. I'm not sure what it's on, whether it's Stan or Binge. I can't remember. But there you go. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favour.
One of them. And I know you're a music man, Brendan. What's a suggestion for the good people out there? A song that you love?
A song. Oh, look, while I've been working, I've been putting on a bit of the Spin Doctors on YouTube. The album called Pocket Full of Kryptonite. Do yourself a favour.
See, I knew you'd have a suggestion. I'm going to re-watch that part and then look up the song because I am in need of new music. This is probably why I wrote this question. Liz, what about you? A book, a movie, TV show?
Yeah, probably movie, TV show. I think I'll probably have two. I've probably got a lot, but two. On Amazon Prime, there's The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. That's a really good, lighthearted binge, because there's quite a few seasons of it. But the other night I watched, and I think it's on Amazon Prime as well, it's called Songbird. And it's about a pandemic, and I love dystopian virus-related zombie genre stuff. So I just binge on anything related to zombies and viruses and whatever. So it's really good because it's so current, and you just think, oh my God, I'm living in this world. It's just come out. But if you don't have Prime or whatever, take advantage of the free trials and binge.
Use promo code Kinaway. No, Liz from Kinaway. So good. I did not know that you were a fellow horror fan, Liz. You are now
not so much horror, but zombies. I'm going
to round up.
The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is my favorite. It's just
good.
I think Rick is coming back this season, so yeah.
Ooh, twist.
Season 11.
You guys, we all now know where to go if the zombie apocalypse happens, and it's straight to Liz's house.
Well, the funny thing is, I used to work straight across over the desk was a guy from Defence, and all he used to talk about was guns, and because he used to buy all the, procure all the guns and whatever for defense. And I said to him, I'm coming to your house if there's a zombie apocalypse, because, he knew how to use a gun. He had big muscles. And, yeah.
God, you need to tell me his name, because I'm going to your house, then his house. What about you, Jessie?
Me? My partner and I really love all the Marvel and DC stuff. So there's been a heap of TV shows that have been coming out just of late. So one that we've been watching is the Loki series.
Yeah.
We watched that, and then over the weekend we also watched Black Widow, the new Black Widow movie. So they've been really cool, and I feel like you're talking about, they're bits of art that you get to get into, and I know they're all based on the comic books, and my partner is a bit of a nerd on all the comic books, so he knows how they all interrelate into the Marvel world and the DC worlds. So it's pretty cool, because I get all of that background as well as really enjoying the movies and all the TV shows. So yeah, that's probably where we really get into at night when the boys are in bed.
Yeah. My cousin's obsessed with WandaVision. Have you been watching that?
Yes.
That was pretty
we've
cool.
watched that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That was a really cool one. Yeah, they're all coming out. So they're all separately coming out with their own TV series at the moment. So yeah, we watched WandaVision. I think we've also watched the the Captain America series as well. And then there's the Loki one. And I do believe there are more coming out too. So yeah, it's been really cool to watch.
I missed out on the Marvel train a little bit. I just Avenger 1 went past Avenger 2, and I'm like, oh, how many Avengers are there? And so I will now pick up that slack and start watching them. So next in the crosshairs, Jadara.
I started watching
video
a
game.
Hey.
It could be a video game as well, because I know you're.
Oh yeah, I think I've got something else a bit more interesting. I started watching a documentary series on Netflix, and I don't know if I should share this because it might reflect poorly, but it's called How to Become a Tyrant. So they present it as I'm looking at the blurb here, a playbook for aspiring dictators. But it's basically a historical documentary, and they go through all the, the major tyrants and dictators in history, but they present it in a way it's like, oh, so this was Hitler or whatever. If you want to become like him, this is what you do. And then they go through all the stuff that he did, all his rise to power and whatnot. So they presented it in an interesting way that's almost like a guide, but it's just kind of taking you through all the steps they took to get to where they were in history. So
I mean, Hitler's he's a failed artist.
Yeah.
How is that possible? Failed artist dictator.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You guys would want to
all the others. So yeah, if you want a bit of a historical one that's a bit of a twist on the way they present it, I'd recommend that one.
Very good.
That genuinely does sound interesting. But I also didn't wake up thinking we're going to say Hitler 3 times in the webinar today. No, that does sound interesting though.
Maybe I'll be the first Aboriginal dictator. How about that?
This is not. Kinaway doesn't support this man's comment.
I think maybe 70,000 years worth of history. There's possibly been one already.
Yeah, probably.
Is his name Scott McCartney? Nah, again. Teasing Scott. We love you. Now, last and certainly not least, James, what are you enjoying?
Okay, Jadara's a bit hard to follow up from that one. What have I? Been reading the Tintin comic books.
Ooh,
yeah,
so
cool. Yeah, been enjoying those ones. Did a purchase actually, so got a few more on the way. Got a poster for the little one, and got that little Snowy, his little sidekick Snowy, little toy as well, little white dog. So the little one really enjoyed that. What else? Bit of music. I'd suggest The Doors. So a little bit of Jim Morrison. It's always good. Always good to listen to. Yeah, that's taken it back a little bit. And then I'm gonna throw this one in here. And I mean, this probably isn't that. Probably sounds. If it's anything that my partner says, it's not very interesting. But I've been watching chess videos on YouTube. So there's a few sort of YouTubers that. Yeah. I didn't think I'd get into it, but it's actually really interesting. Just the sort of theory behind it. There's one like Super Grandmaster. He's like ranked number 2 in the world, but he thinks of himself more as a YouTube streamer rather than a chess player. So he kind of goes through, I call it the chess sort of history and the theory behind the moves. And
Have you seen the Queen's Gambit?
Yeah, I was about to
yeah,
say.
I saw that. But yeah, I don't know. I find it really interesting for some reason.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
I probably wouldn't recommend it, but yeah, that's what I've been watching lately for some reason.
It's because you're becoming an old man, James. You find things like that.
Yeah. I am getting a little bit older, a little bit wiser.
Like, Kinaway is full of nerds. We figured this out on Tuesday's webinar. Damien suggested Critical Role, I think it was called, which is like a Dungeons and Dragons like gameplay that goes for 4 hours. And I'm like, dude, we are nerds, man. Because I would say that. But no, thank you guys. I don't know if I have anything to share really music wise. No, but I will go back on this webinar and listen to the songs that people suggested. And I need to be a better movie lover and probably catch up on what everybody has suggested today. But we have hit a little over an hour, you guys. I am so proud of us. It's been so much fun, but we have sadly reached the end of today's webinar. But I thought it'd be really good to just throw in just an opportunity if you guys have anything that you would like to promote or share while we have our Kinaway community watching. Is there anything you'd like to mention?
Yes, I do. Well, we've just called yesterday for Kinaway is running a new mentoring program. And so we're calling for Aboriginal business women to join up and apply to be mentored by a pool, not by a pool of mentors, but there are a pool of mentors which you can be matched against. And that'll be beginning in August, but apply now so that we can match you with a suitable mentor. And it's a 9-month journey. You meet about once a month online or in person, and we'll match you with the most suitable one that we've got that sort of fits your business capability and development needs. Yeah.
Yes. Sounds super exciting.
Following on from Liz as well, another one that we've got is we're currently open for expressions of interest for our fashion and textiles development program. So if you're an artist out there and you would like to increase your capability and your export potential, please put in an expression of interest. We'd love to see your entries.
Yay. Yes, I will be posting a lot today, tomorrow, and forever. So if you need to find any of these links, you can go to our website or any of our social medias because we will have those promoted there. Excellent. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this webinar. It was so much fun. It's just, I want to try and catch up with some of these more frequently. I don't know if every month is too frequent. We'll discuss that at some point, but I really, really loved it. Now to my ending spiel, you guys. So I have lost my track. Okay, cool. I'd like to thank you all again for joining me today and give a special thanks to the wonderful, beautiful, Black and Deadly Kinaway team for joining me. Pause for applause. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed it. And again, if you wish to catch up on any of the discussions or interviews that we've done in the past, jump on Kinaway's Facebook and YouTube channels and pages. You'll find them there. I'd also like to take a moment to remind our viewers that support services are currently available for Kinaway members at Brendan
1-800 Kinaway
Awesome.
For all our members and their staff and their families, it's private, confidential, and completely free. Any signs of stress or anxiety, guys, please don't hesitate. I have the phone, it is with me, and I'm available for a chat anytime. Monday to Friday.
Almost anytime, guys, but most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yes. So yeah, and you guys can remember you can DM our social medias as well, because I will see that and I can pass it on to people that you're trying to get through to. So lastly, I just would like to go through the lockdown guidelines just while I have you guys. So there are only 5 reasons to leave home: shopping for food and supplies that you need, and exercise both within 5 kilometers of your home or as close to your home as possible. Care and caregiving, authorized work or education if you can't do it from home, getting vaccinated as soon as you're eligible, and masks are now mandatory indoors and outdoors. So make sure you do that, you guys. And if you have any symptoms, please go and get tested. For the latest updates, go to coronavirus.vic.gov.au. You can see at the bottom of the screen here, we have a hotline as well that you can get in contact with if you are concerned at all. But thank you guys, that was an awesome webinar. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you all and the Kinaway community have a safe lockdown.
Thanks, Katani.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony. See you, everyone.
Bye.